Maya knew the room was rigged the second she saw the glass of cucumber water on the table. That was Derek's signature move, passive-aggressive hospitality. If he offered you a la croix, you were safe. If he poured you infused water, you were already dead. She stared at the sweating tumbler like it had betrayed her. "Let's keep this quick," Derek said, brushing invisible lint off his Patagonia vest like he was prepping for TED talk on how to ruin someone's life with a smile. "I'll cut to it. We're restructuring. Leadership felt your contributions were a bit legacy, not aligned with our new direction." He paused, then added with a faux empathetic tilt of the head, "You're replaceable, Maya. But you knew that, right?" There it was. The line he'd probably rehearsed in the mirror between reps of bicep curls and gaslighting. Maya didn't flinch. Not even a blink. Inside, it felt like her spine cracked in half and her lungs filled with static. 7 years, 100-hour weeks, Christmases missed. Her father's funeral attended via Zoom in a supply closet. And now you're replaceable, like she was a busted printer. She looked past him, catching her own reflection in the tinted glass behind his desk. Hair pulled back tight. Blazer still buttoned. Calm, controlled. Derek thought he was watching her crack. What he didn't realize was he just handed her the fuse. "Now listen, before we keep going, if you've made it this far and haven't hit that subscribe or like button, do us all a solid. 97% of y'all listen to these stories like it's Netflix for revenge, but forget to support the crew. It means the world. Helps us keep peeling back these wild, juicy layers. All right, back in." "Of course," she said quietly. "Will I be escorted out?" Eric smiled again, shark flat. "Security's on the way. Standard procedure. Nothing personal." She rose slowly. Gathered her planner, paper, not digital, her phone. The framed photo of her and the team at last year's retreat, where Derek had been too busy to attend because ski season waits for no one. He offered a handshake. She stared at it, let it dangle in the air like the bad idea it was. Then turned and walked out. The hallway was quiet. Too quiet. Kind of quiet that chokes the air when people don't know whether to look at you or away. Lana, the front desk admin, mouthed, "I'm so sorry." A junior strategist looked like he might cry. And then, just as Maya reached the elevator, a hand slipped her a folded note. "You were the only reason I stayed. No name, just heartbreak." She didn't cry. Not yet. In the parking lot, sunlight bounced off her windshield like it was mocking her. She climbed into the driver's seat, gripped the wheel, and sat still. Then she dialed one number. No contact saved, just muscle memory. "Hello," the voice answered, cool, professional. "It's Maya," she said. "I'm no longer with the company." A pause. Then a shift in tone so sharp it cut through the static. "We'll be in touch," the voice replied. She hung up, adjusted her rearview mirror, and drove off without looking back. The war hadn't started, but the battlefield had just been chosen. Maya's office still smelled like peppermint tea and dry erase markers. A strange kind of sanctity lingered in that 10 by 10 box of fluorescent exile, proof of years spent spinning chaos into strategy and turning panic into revenue. The framed award from the Marketing Association sat crooked on the shelf, the plaque slightly chipped from where Derek once knocked it down and never apologized. She'd glued it back herself. Quietly. Like always. She didn't rush. She wasn't about to give them that. Every file she packed was deliberate. Every drawer emptied with the calm resolve of a woman cataloging her own funeral artifacts. Outside the glass wall of her office, people scattered like roaches under a kitchen light. No one made eye contact, especially not Derek's boys, all wearing the same half-zip fleece and self-satisfaction like it was regulation. A few of her own team tried to offer sad little nods. Most just looked at their screens and prayed she wouldn't stop to say goodbye. It wasn't personal. It was cowardice in corporate form. Except for Olivia. 24, brilliant, criminally underpaid, and 2 weeks away from quitting herself. She hovered in the doorway for a second before slipping something onto Maya's now bare desk. A sticky note. No name, no signature. "You were the only reason I stayed." Maya's throat tightened, not from sadness, from anger. The kind that simmers in your bones when you realize how many people were surviving off the scaffolding you didn't even know you were holding up. She tucked the note into her planner. Not for nostalgia, for fuel. The security guy was polite, even apologetic. They said to just walk you out quietly. No need for, drama, she asked, locking her office door one last time. Not my style. She passed the kitchen where someone had already started dividing up the snacks she bought. Saw her mug in the sink. Queen of campaigns. A joke gift from a client, one who once told her, "Over wine, you see things before we say them." She made it to the parking garage without a sound. Keys in hand, jaw tight, pulse steady. But before she opened her car, she did what needed to be done. She called him, not the account manager, not the liaison, CEO of the $85 million account she'd nurtured like a second marriage. The one who once flew across the country just to brainstorm product names over scotch and whiteboards. He answered on the second ring. Maya, I was let go, she said, voice steady. Just now. Silence. Then a barely audible shift, a door closing, a breath held. What happened? He asked, clipped and cold. Not at her for her. Restructuring, apparently. Derek delivered it personally. Another pause, longer this time. Then, we'll be in touch. No panic, no small talk. Just a clean surgical tone that told her two things. One, he already knew who Derek was. Two, he had zero intention of keeping the business there. Meyer ended the call, slid into the driver's seat, stared straight ahead. She didn't cry. Crying was for endings. This wasn't one, not even close. Derek strutted into the Monday stand-up like a man who just swatted a mosquito and expected a trophy for it. Let's keep the energy high this week, he said, fake enthused, clapping his hands like a kindergarten teacher with a caffeine problem. We've streamlined leadership, which means faster decisions, less bottlenecking, and no more legacy thinking. Maya was great in her time, but frankly, we were overpaying for outdated strategy. This is a win for all of us. He smiled like he believed it, or maybe like he needed everyone else to. Nobody said a word. Not Sam from accounts, not Nina from creative, not even Greg, the human bobblehead who usually co-signed anything Derek said with a totally. Before the sentence was done, they just stared, pretending to take notes, pretending Maya's name didn't still echo in every half-written campaign and client request like a ghost who hadn't figured out she was dead. And came Tuesday. Email chains began to stall. The West Coast rep from the $85M client went quiet. A mid-tier manager asked about Maya's availability for next week's QBR, clearly unaware she'd been nuked out of existence. Ops forwarded the message to Derek. Just tell them I'll handle it personally, he barked. They'll adjust. Wednesday, silence. No calendar invites, no Slack replies. Her internal tracking dashboard showed campaign approvals pending for 3 days, something Maya never allowed to sit for more than 3 hours. Maybe they're having system issues, Derek muttered, refreshing the feed like it owed him loyalty. By Thursday, Nina got a call from their junior contact at the client's side. Her face turned 3 shades paler while she listened. After hanging up, she went to Derek's office, closed the door, and stayed in there for 47 seconds. Came out red-eyed, he came out smug. We're fine, he announced at the afternoon sync. This is just turbulence, happens during transitions. That night, a message arrived from legal. Flagged urgent. Subject, termination of services Newton Applied Group. It wasn't a warning, it was a bullet. Effective immediately, the flagship client, their largest, longest standing, the one plastered all over the investor pitch decks, was disengaging. No further meetings. No transfer of assets, no transitional courtesy, just gone. The attached letter was a masterpiece of surgical language. No emotion, no explanations, just a clean break. At the bottom, we appreciate the years of collaboration. We will not be pursuing a replacement team within your organization. Derek read it 3 times, then slammed his laptop shut like that could undo the damage. She had to have contacted them, he muttered, pacing like a trapped raccoon in a rooftop cage. She planted this, manipulated it, but legal had already done their digging. Maya hadn't reached out first. There were no messages, no trail, no breach. She hadn't taken the client. They had followed her completely on their own. Derek sank into his chair, sweat blooming under the arms of his Lululemon blazer. The room around him blurred, the silent realization clawing up his throat. Maya didn't need to scheme. She just needed to exist. Diner was one of those stubborn relics wedged between a vape shop and a gym called something aggressive, like Sweat Church. Neon signage flickered in the window like it couldn't decide whether to keep fighting or finally surrender to the inevitable short. Perfect place for off-the-record conversations. No corporate spies, no LinkedIn lurkers, just the scent of bacon grease and quiet ambition. Meyer arrived early. Not out of anxiety habit. Early meant control. Early meant scanning every face in the room and knowing how many exits were behind her back. She ordered black coffee and sat in the corner booth, the vinyl seat still warm from a trucker who'd left behind a folded USA Today and half a sentence scratched into a napkin. A man is only as good as, she snorted softly. Fitting. The client rep walked in 6 minutes later. Jules, 40-something, built like a linebacker, voice like sandpaper and scotch. Worked together for years, but Maya had never seen him out of a blazer until now. Jeans, flannel, no laptop bag, no entourage. He slid into the booth across from her without pleasantries. "You okay?" he asked. She didn't lie, not yet. He nodded. Pulled a napkin from his own jacket pocket. Folded, sharp-edged, like it had been prepped days ago. He placed it between them like a dealer laying down a winning hand. No logos, no letterhead, just a single number scribbled in black ink. Maya stared at it, then looked up. "Is this? We've talked it through. The board, finance, legal, we're ready when you are." He took a sip of her coffee without asking. "We want you, not the building you used to sit in." "I'm not a founder," she said softly. "No," Jules replied. "You're a leader. Big difference." She looked out the window. Across the street, a teenage couple was arguing about TikTok, fries forgotten on the hood of a red Corolla. Inside, the waitress filled sugar caddies while humming an off-key version of Dreams by Fleetwood Mac. Founders had visions and 5-year plans and text talks about disrupting the norm. She had a half-tanked 401k, a single-car garage, and a planner full of initials from people who still called her when they were scared. But that napkin, it wasn't just funding. It was oxygen. "Maya," Jules said, leaning in, "built the machine. All we're saying is put your own name on the door." Fear sat heavy in her gut, fear of failing, of being seen, of proving Derek right. But then came the flicker. The same flicker she felt the first time she saved a collapsing campaign on no sleep and sheer willpower. The flicker that said you know what the hell you're doing, even if they keep pretending you don't. She folded the napkin once, then again. Slid it into her coat pocket. "Give me a week," she said. Jules smiled. "Take 2. She left a 20 on the table and walked out without finishing her coffee. She didn't need caffeine, she had ignition. Maya's garage still smelled like old paint, motor oil, and failed lawn projects, but it was hers. The folding table from her daughter's lemonade stand became her desk. An old corkboard leaned against the drywall, now plastered with hand-scribbled flowcharts and post-it notes that read like war plans. Client tiers. Onboarding. Trust channels. Strike windows. There was no sign on the door. No glossy logo. No company name, not even a business card. This wasn't a startup. This was a phantom limb, unregistered, unbranded, and building strength under the skin. She didn't call it revenge, not out loud. But when Olivia showed up on day 2 with her laptop and a duffel bag of stolen granola bars from the office kitchen, Maya didn't ask questions. She just said, "Glad you made it." Came Dev, analytics wizard, newly unemployed, fired for performance inconsistency the same week he flagged Derek's falsified reporting. And finally Serena, ex-legal ops, a compliance ninja with an axe to grind, and a hard drive full of Derek's unsigned NDAs. The 4 of them worked in hoodies and sweats, running on bad coffee and righteous fire. No Twitter launch. No press release. No "we're so thrilled to announce." Just quiet hours and quiet files. A whiteboard that said build, protect, strike. The funny thing about ghosts is they don't need to knock, they just show up. And within 10 days, Maya's old company started to feel the chill. The first ripple came through IT. "Hey, weird question, someone in Project Ops slacked Derek. Do we still have access to the legacy campaign logs for North Bridge?" The folder was gone, archived. Maybe corrupted, possibly. Except Serena had built that archive. She never left it behind. Then came whispers from BizDev. 2 mid-tier clients quietly paused Q3 budgets pending reevaluation. "What's that mean?" Derek asked, pacing his office while chewing nicotine gum like it owed him money. No one knew, and no one could get a meeting. Then someone forwarded an internal memo from legal. New NDAs must include expanded non-solicitation language. Effective immediately. Derek slapped the paper on the table. "The hell are we protecting against?" No one answered because they already knew. Maya wasn't poaching. She didn't have to. The clients called her. Whispers spread faster than campaigns ever did. "We heard she's building something. We trust her. We'd rather wait than get Derek's interns again." And yet, there was nothing to trace. No pitch deck. No social profile. Just tension. Like the moment before a lightning strike when you feel something's coming, but you can't see it yet. Maya watched it all unfold from her garage. No smirk. No champagne. Just her team, growing by the week, sharpening weapons they never got to use before. She pinned a fresh note to the corkboard that day. "They don't know we're coming. Let's keep it that way." The first version of the pitch deck was titled Project Lantern. No sender, no signature, just a Dropbox link forwarded from someone's personal Gmail at 2:03 a.m. Landed in the inbox of a mid-level strategy lead at a rival firm, who forwarded it to a friend, who passed it to a client-side CMO, who, 4 hours later, sent it to Derek's team with the subject line, "Thought this was your new initiative." Derek opened it on his iPad over his morning shake, fully expecting some knockoff garbage cobbled together by one of the many desperate boutique firms orbiting his ecosystem. But this thing was surgical. Color palette, understated but decisive. Language, bold but never bloated. Data, flawlessly clean. Strategic insight woven into every bullet like it breathed the account's DNA. The tone, razor-sharp professionalism with just enough bite to make it sound like whoever wrote it wasn't guessing, they were remembering. Derek's smoothie turned bitter in his mouth. He threw it half full into the sink. "Get ops in here. Now." An hour later, whiteboard in the war room read, "Who is behind Project Lantern?" Names flew like darts. Every agency within a 100-mile radius got a line through it. Half a dozen freelancers were cold-called and interrogated under the guise of networking coffee chats. Then Greg, who rarely said anything that wasn't a sports metaphor, mutters, "This feels like Maya." Silence. Derek's eye twitched. "She's not that reckless." "No," said Nina, arms crossed. "She's that good. She's quiet when she's dangerous." They tried reaching out to the client, sweet-talking, offering bridge solutions while the new hire ramped up. The client didn't take the call, didn't even decline it, just ignored it. Derek doubled down, ordered a rebrand of their pitch deck overnight. Slapped buzzwords all over it like a toddler with glitter. Agile storytelling, hyper-localized funnels, real-time cultural resonance. Read like it had been written by ChatGPT on Adderall. No bites. Worse, some clients started forwarding Maya's deck back to them, asking, "How come this feels clearer than the stuff we paid for?" Derek tried tracing the Dropbox account. Burner email, proxy masking. No IP trail. He called legal. "Can we file preemptive cease and desists? Anyone sniffing our accounts." But Serena, now safely 3 counties away in Maya's garage, had been meticulous. Every asset that left clean. Every clause Derek ignored when he gutted HR protocol, now biting him in the ass. By Friday, rumors floated through the Slack channels like wildfire under office carpets. "I heard she's building something. I heard 3 clients pulled their data access. I heard legal scrambling to rewrite old contracts, but no one could prove a thing." Maya hadn't shown her face, hadn't used her name. She was a phantom. Phantoms don't need proof. They just haunt you until you start screaming at shadows. The ballroom smelled like artificial citrus and desperation. One of those sterile hotel venues with bad carpeting and flickering chandeliers that made everyone look like they were aging in real time. Derek stood backstage, mic clipped to his collar, running his lines like a washed-up actor, trying to believe the reviews didn't matter. He was the keynote. Big letters on the event website, stupid headshot and all, arms crossed, chin up, as if the pose alone could erase the fact that he'd lost their biggest client 2 months earlier, and no one had told him the full truth yet. The title of his speech, "Leading Through Innovation, Resilience in the Face of Change." You couldn't script irony that good. Meanwhile, 3 floors up, Maya stood in line at the check-in booth wearing jeans, glasses, and a pass that read Carla Jensen, Independent Consultant. Olivia had made the badge herself, borrowed from a friend of a friend who couldn't make it. No one recognized her. No one even looked twice. She walked the floor like a ghost in her own house. Her client, was listed as a platinum sponsor. Their logo was everywhere, banners, lanyards, even on the bottom of the complimentary tote bags stuffed with stress balls and branded pens. But when Derek stepped on stage to give his big speech, there was no representative from the sponsor at his table. No social media shout-out. No applause when he name-dropped them as a valued partner. Just crickets and a thin cough from someone in the 3rd row pretending to check Slack. Halfway through his speech, someone from event logistics leaned over to whisper in his ear. Derek's jaw twitched, but he powered through. Maya knew exactly what he'd been told, because she'd booked the room herself. The client had quietly pulled out of all joint appearances and instead reserved a second ballroom across the hall, private entry, limited RSVPs, and not listed on the official program. The whispers started around noon. "Did you hear about the off-site panel? I got a DM invite from someone. Real hush-hush. It's about client-side innovation. Apparently something new's launching." By 2 p.m., Derek's panel had emptied by half. By 2:15, even Greg had slipped out, pretending he had a call. Maya stood at the edge of the new room, hand on the door handle, heart thudding with that strange mix of fear and adrenaline you only feel right before doing something irrevocable. Inside, rows of chairs. A new logo projected onto a minimalist screen, one no one had seen before, yet it felt familiar, strategic, sharp. Maya stepped in, quiet, measured. The room filled fast. The moment she'd been building toward wasn't in the press, wasn't in the brochures, but everyone could feel it. The ghost was about to speak. The applause didn't start right away. At first, there was just silence. That sharp, collective inhale a room takes when it realizes it's witnessing something unscheduled, something real. Maya stepped onto the stage, slow and unhurried, in a black blazer that fit like armor and jeans that said, "I don't need to prove anything to anybody anymore." No clicker, no teleprompter. Just a slim wireless mic and the force of 7 sleepless weeks packed into one steel spine. She paused at the center, scanned the crowd. In the front row, Jules from the client. Arms folded, smirking like a man who'd just won a poker game with a 2 and a 7. To the side, faces from agencies and startups and brand teams, craning forward in their seats, eyes wide like kids watching someone juggle dynamite. Maya took a breath. "Then, some of you already know me," she said. "Some of you think you do." A few chuckles, a few turned heads. Phones tilted up. "I'm not here to talk about disruption or hustle or whatever we're calling burnout this year. I'm here because a client, one of the best in the business, chose to believe in people, not positions. In loyalty, not hierarchy. And that belief gave us the freedom to build something new." Slide 1 appeared behind her, the logo of her new company. Simple, unapologetically hers. The room erupted. Live tweets exploded out of pockets like confetti. "Holy SHT, it's Maya. This is what happens when you fire the wrong woman. Derek's toast. She just took his whole client and built an empire." Back in the main hall, Derek was still nursing a cold Diet Coke and trying to prep for a panel on adaptive leadership in competitive markets. He hadn't heard the crowd, but Greg had. He was pale, moved the sponsor showcase. It's Maya's. The client's launching with her. Derek's face turned to stone. He stood up so fast his chair clattered over. 10 minutes later, a junior organizer walked up to his table with a clipboard and a forced smile. "Apologies, Mr. Ridgewell. There's been a last-minute update. Your panel's been rescheduled." "Rescheduled to when?" he snapped. She looked down, then quietly added, "TBD, by 5 p.m. Maya's name was trending nationally on LinkedIn. Her new agency's teaser site, just one page with a newsletter sign-up, was already crashing under the weight of traffic. Recruiters flooded her inbox. Clients she hadn't spoken to in years were texting things like, "Can we talk next week?" Back in the parking garage, Maya peeled off the Carla Jensen badge and tucked it into her coat pocket. Not as a souvenir, as a receipt, because this wasn't a comeback. It was a hostile takeover, delivered in silence, styled with grace. And Derek, he just learned what it felt like to be on the other end of the smirk. The invitation came on letterhead so crisp it practically whistled. Subject: Keynote Opportunity 2026 Vision Forum from Conference Board to Meyer Ellison, CEO, Lantern & Co. The same conference where Derek had once been the centerpiece. Now, she was the main event. She didn't even blink. He forwarded it to her assistant with a single instruction: "Confirm, and order shoes I can stand in for a full hour while dismantling the old guard." By noon that day, the speaker lineup had been updated. Derek's name gone without a trace. His bio deleted like it had never mattered. In its place, Maya, bold font, full name, no fluff. And just beneath it, leading from the ashes, building value where others burn bridges. Poetry. But the real moment came before the next keynote ever began. At the closing hour of this year's conference, in the same private showcase ballroom, Maya returned to the stage, not as a ghost this time, but as a crowned queen with a clipboard. She didn't make a speech. She didn't have to. She just shook hands. Once. Twice. 2 new clients. 2 new logos. 2 new 7-figure contracts. Signed live in front of a room packed with competitors and former colleagues, silently asking themselves how they ever thought she was replaceable. The NDAs were tighter now. The onboarding process, seamless. And her team, Olivia, Dev, Serena, stood near the exit, faces glowing, backs straight. No longer survivors, builders. Meanwhile, Derek's week spiraled into what one blog called a masterclass in professional self-immolation. His attempt to sue Maya died on the tarmac. Turns out the same HR team he gutted to save overhead had never finalized the intellectual property clauses in senior staff contracts. No paperwork, no teeth, no grounds. Maya didn't even have to countersue. She just mailed him a box. No return address, no note outside. Inside, a mirror, wrapped in velvet, clean, cold, and unbroken. Taped to the glass with surgical precision was a yellow sticky note, her handwriting elegant as ever. Replace this. No legal threats. No dragged-out war. Just truth delivered with the quiet confidence of a woman who'd outgrown permission. Derek was quietly transitioned out 3 weeks later. The board called it a realignment of strategic vision, which is corporate speak for you got outplayed and were tired of watching. Maya didn't gloat. She didn't need to. She had her company. Her team. Her name on the door, on the press kits, on the lips of every client wondering where to find real leadership in a sea of slogans. She sat in her office, a real one now, not a garage, and sipped tea while reviewing campaign drafts that bore her fingerprints, but none of her ego. Not a comeback. A coronation. You're the real stars of the corporate jungle. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe, or I'll flick the switch on your old cubicle memories.